And we are back with another episode of the Download Illuvium News. Today, we have got a lot of the nitty-gritty to get through. So much ended up happening this week, and I did not think anything was going to happen, okay? Like, while we're waiting for patches and things, for the arena to get its upgrades and new stuff to come out, we actually got a bunch of other leaks and other events happening that are a little bit more behind the scenes, but they were still exciting nonetheless, and we learned a lot more about the future of the project and where Illuvium is headed in at least the next 3 months, but even the next 6 to 7 months, as we learn a little bit about a new game mode coming up called Breach, something that I've been holding my tongue on for a very long time, and I'm glad that I have some opportunity to talk about it a little bit now. So that's very exciting. And as always, we have TSG, my infamous co-host, coming on the show with me today. How's it going, man?
Yeah, good. Very excited. A lot of information that's come out. So excited to talk about it all.
Yeah. So right now is what I call the calm before the Illuvium storm. Right now, the team is working on major arena updates, upcoming competitive modes, and competitive reward systems that are coming very soon. And Illuvium Beyond Wave 3, all while Lizard Labs is kicking off themselves and building tools to support Illuvium as well. Illuvium Battle in the Beyond and the Lizard League should both be out relatively soon in conjunction with all the different Illuvium things that are being upgraded and enhanced over the next 3 months. So in January, Illuvium is going to be unrecognizable. And I did want to point something out quickly. I played a game of Gauntlet today. I actually try to play like at least once a day when I get home from work and stuff like that, which is a good sign. I don't get the chance to play many games, and the fact that I'm choosing Illuvium is actually pretty hype. But the point is, I played the game. When I exited, it gave me a little survey inside Epic Games, and it said, how would you rate your experience? It was like, I really, really loved it. I think it was good, on the fence, basically, and I didn't like it. And really, really loved it was like 70%. Obviously, I have no idea how many people answered the survey. Enjoyed it was like 20%, and then didn't like it was like 3% or something. So clearly the people that are playing the game are enjoying playing it right now. And you might think, oh, people are just putting the best result because they want Illuvium to do well. I don't really think people would do that. I think if people didn't enjoy the game, they would make that known in the little survey. I don't think they're going to just like put the best option no matter what. And I'm really enjoying it right now, so I did put the best option. And yeah, so how are you finding Gauntlet at the moment? Have you played much?
I did for a little bit when Patch 8 first came out. I absolutely think that we're heading in the right direction. Right now I'm focusing on Wave 3, so I haven't had as much time to play. I generally try to play a couple of games a day, but in the past week, I'd say that's where I've stopped. Part of the reason is Wave 3. Second part of the reason is I hate the corner comp with empaths and scions. So I'm hoping that I know they were testing patch A versus patch B. I think it's been unanimously decided that patch A is much more enjoyable for the majority of players. So now that that's been decided, I'm hoping that the balance patches come much quicker, and we can start to address some of those issues and balancing issues. So once that's done, I'm absolutely jumping back in. I think the state of the game it's by far the best it's ever been. And it is actually good fun. I want to be playing, and like I said, I've been playing every day for a couple of weeks now. Maybe not as much as Kieran, but I'd say for the last 3 weeks or something like that, taking out this last week, I have been playing about 2 to 3 games a day. And it's fun. Like, it's genuinely fun. There's obviously quality of life changes, like once you get eliminated, you can watch the rest of the match, or there are just small quality of life changes that are going to make it a ton more enjoyable. But for where it is right now, I think it's, in my opinion, the best product that we've launched to the public.
I think I left this in for future meeting notes, but Kieran told the council the other day that the retention rate for Gauntlet specifically is something like 29%, was it?
I don't know the exact number, but it's much higher than we've seen compared
Yeah,
to Ascendant.
and he said Ascendant was like 12% or something like that. It's
Yeah,
at least doubled, probably a little bit more.
yeah.
But 29% for a seven, I think he's 7 day rolling 7 days or something like that, which is really, really good for any game, and it shows that people are really enjoying Gauntlet. And it makes me excited for when Gauntlet is particularly good. Like new features and stuff are one thing, but like when it's not as buggy as it is now, with some of the game crashes and things that some people are, I haven't really had any issues on it. There have been a lot of these reported issues. When that sort of stuff's not there and it's quite polished, the retention should shoot up like a lot, because that's the one thing that's probably turning people away more than
That
anything else right now. So,
that's turned me off a little bit as well. Like when I first started, I didn't really experience that many crashes, and towards the later part of the 3 weeks that I was playing, I started to see a crash, and I just you have a great start to the game. You've got all the augments. You're getting everything you want. You miss out on, like, you crash, and you miss out on an augment round, and it by default gives you an augment, and it happens to be just a shit augment, and your whole game is ruined because augments are incredibly important. And so if you choose the wrong thing, like, it's not even choosing the wrong thing, it's choosing the worst option, and you're like, bro, I don't. This has it doesn't add any value to my strategy here. So what am I? It's just a wasted augment essentially, and shit like that just definitely puts me off. And I know it's a similar feeling with a lot of other players as well. But like you said, not everyone is experiencing that. But what I think, I was speaking to someone else about it. A game in 2024 shouldn't be crashing at all. Like one crash a year is acceptable. Anything more than that is too much.
yeah, and like we're not going to get into it today, but they're talking about introducing a proper multiplayer system and stuff like
Yep.
that into it. I don't know exactly what the details behind that are, but I believe you guys are still on AWS or something, and I'm assuming this is a big leap forward from something like that.
I don't know the details. Obviously, I'm not a tech guy, but yeah, there is a shift from our current multiplayer server to a dedicated multiplayer server that's going to enhance the experience. I'd say tenfold, and I think I'm understating it at that. And
Right.
that's going to be the I believe, if I'm not mistaken, both Kieran and Aaron have said this. That is going to be the thing that once we get that dedicated multiplayer server in, that opens up the door to so many other things like Breach, for example. I've been biting my tongue on that for quite a while. I didn't expect Aaron to kind of bring it out, but and yeah, Aaron was kind of tiptoeing around it. I was like, oh damn, but he mentioned it. I was surprised. Kieran, a couple of days later, just went full out. Oh, it's a roguelike, this, that. Bring it all out. I was like, damn, okay, we opening the floodgates for sure. Floodgates have definitely been breached, I guess. But once we have that dedicated multiplayer server, that opens that up to a whole new level. I am so excited about that. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but focusing on Gauntlet, that dedicated server is what's required for Spectator Mode, which, as you know, is insanely important for tournaments. That's what's required for scouting. Being like, it's these things that are gonna enhance the experience by so much, and it's all reliant on this one major factor, which is the dedicated multiplayer servers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it once that's in. I think it'll be a big deal. So let's jump into
Huge.
some of the news of the past week. First up, we had an Illuvium Arena hotfix. Basically, they released a fix to address an issue with the Gauntlet ranked queue. There was a weird bug. It's really weird how this stuff happens sometimes, where the patch has been out for ages, and all of a sudden, some bug just appears, even while nothing's been updated, supposedly. Maybe they're updating things on the back end or something. But that's really, really surprising to me. Anyways, it had this bug where it displayed 8 players in a lobby despite having fewer players, preventing the game from starting. Oh, so there weren't actually 8 players in the lobby. That explains that. So that's really weird.
I think the bug was that someone would be in the lobby and then they'd leave the lobby, and it still like, that's where the discrepancy was. Don't
That's so
don't
funny.
don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure that's what I've been seeing.
Yeah, yeah. So the other thing is, don't forget to opt into testnet updates roles. So they rolled out patch B and stuff as well. But we absolutely love to see it. They got this hotfix out really fast. I just kind of wish they got hotfixes out faster for nerfing the some of the dodgy augments into the ground, or
They
remove them entirely. That would
they
be
will
nice. But
they will. Priority was that they wanted to get patch B out just to see the direction that we wanted to take it. Like I mentioned before, I'm hoping we're going to discuss it today. but unanimously, patch A is clearly the favorite. And now that is very obviously the direction that we're taking it, patches and balancing should happen way more frequently and way more efficiently than what we've experienced in the past month. Patch B was bad. Look, I'm not going to say it was bad, but there are a lot more things in patch A that were desired.
For sure. I didn't really get the chance to play patch B. I just didn't have the time in my life at the time. I didn't hear particularly great things, but it sounded pretty interesting, and I liked some of the elements of what I read in the patch notes and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah, patch A.
Okay.
Look, I think Nil is absolutely killing it, and I would love to see him take the helm there.
Okay, the next one is the Escape Pod early drawings, concept art of the emotes that they were designing. I didn't win one myself. I would love to win one at some point, but these are really, really cool. Yeah, I couldn't help but notice how silly it is that Modern Lava's one is I think it's an Adorito instead of a Lynx. So that's really, really funny. But yeah.
I did bring that up. The reason for that is that Roger wanted them to be tier 5s. Yeah.
Fair enough. Lynx is good. The Virtuous Lynx is tier 5 right now.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, so the next topic that came up was fuel for discs, okay? Currently, the council and Kieran have elected to not actually sell discs in fuel for a variety of reasons, mostly because it won't technically be ready by the time the thing has to launch, and it would take probably a few months to later do that because they're in discussions for things like merging the fuel, as was discussed on the town hall. And so trying to build all this infrastructure for selling discs for fuel and stuff before you do all the merging stuff is just a waste of everybody's time, really. And you kind of need the merging stuff first anyways, because like, what do you sell the discs in? Either Krypton, Hyperion, or Solon. You kind of want the merge thing to happen first. But anyways, that's the big reason it's not really happening. But Johnny says that right now fuel is probably not revenue, assuming there's a fair bit stockpiled. If fuel is revenue because it has to be purchased by the DAO, then why would someone choose to use ETH to purchase fuel and then use that fuel to purchase discs over buying it directly? For me, it adds complication to the dev team and reduces revenue, which is a pretty big one. If there was a healthy fuel economy, it would be a bit of a different story. I would like to see it sold in fuel in the future. It might need to take a slightly different structure where it's not like the fuel price, maybe it's 2x the fuel price or something like that, so that the ETH and fuel prices don't have huge disparity or something. I'm not sure. But destroying the revenue of Illuvium Beyond Wave 3, which could be a really big deal, is simply too much of a risk than it's worth, although it would have some chance of burning out a lot of the fuel from the DAO, which would be nice, but it's a little bit tricky.
I personally would like to see the fuel implementation, like you say, after we've merged it into one fuel. I'm so glad that we can start talking about these things openly. But I think that's a huge thing. I'm pretty sure we're going to touch on that a little bit later as well. But I think the fuel for Beyond really makes sense when that happens. And honestly, I think that this is just my opinion. I would like to see, like you said, but using ETH to buy fuel and then buying discs. Okay, cool. It's just an additional step. Maybe we do that in set 2 of Illuvitas. I think set 1, there's no need to rush into developing that. Like, it doesn't add enough value to warrant the resources that would go into it. That's my take. Obviously, I'm not fully clued up on what the effort is to make that happen, but I can imagine that there are a lot more important things and urgent matters that need to be dealt with over that. So I get it, and I don't mind it. I think we leave that to set 2 when we get there.
I definitely think you need both options to always be available anyways, just from a UX perspective. You need to be able to buy in ETH, SRV2, or fuel. For most things in the Illuvium universe would be nice as well. But then you get that weird SRV2, because SRV2 is not really meant to be a permanent thing. It's supposed to get burnt out eventually and just stop existing. But fuel wouldn't really be like that. So you'd always have this weird situation of you can pay ETH or you can get a 30% discount on fuel or whatever it might be. And it's like, then why would you ever use ETH? And then that just becomes overly confusing. And half the people who are a bit more well-educated are getting this huge discount over the other half that aren't. And so dealing with that side of things is a little bit weird, but
the biggest thing that we need to focus on is, and I've mentioned this internally as well, I think we've done very, very well with the details and making the Illuvidex look very pretty and things like that. I think the part that we've overlooked is user experience. That is the only thing we need to focus on, is adding fuel, like allowing Beyond to be purchased through fuel. Is that adding to the user experience in a meaningful way? I don't think so. For the average user, the landholders, and I am one, Kieran is one, many of us are, I'm pretty sure you are too. Like, okay, cool. For us, the our user experiences, yeah, for sure, that's good. Like, there's more use case for fuel. But for the average player or for the average person participating in Beyond, does it add value to them? I don't think so. So if that is the case, we shouldn't really be focusing on it at all right now until we can think of a way where it does. And the thing at the forefront is user experience. If it's not the case, it's to me, I disregard it.
And I think that's something that Off the Grid provably did really, really well, is they nailed the flow inside their game client. Simple, straightforward, very hard to go wrong in it, easy for anyone to understand. And we need to take that lesson from that. I think they did a really good job. So the next thing is they were continuing talking about this sort of topic. And Johnny said, debatably, you could make a game outside of Illuvium that doesn't reference the Illuvium IP and just loads the NFT art from the web chain at runtime. But Johnny isn't looking to do that himself, but it has got me thinking about the potential things you could do to add like a little game and stuff and build it out yourself. Because really, that's what ETH Lizards did. Obviously, some other aspects needed fancier APIs for Battle and Beyond. But there are lots of ways to build a game that just references chain data and builds a game out of it. And I have a few ideas swirling around my head around that sort of stuff, and I'm talking with some people that might want to work together on a little project to build out some sort of little games that you can use your NFTs in for Illuvium. Could be really fun. I don't know if you want to do that as well.
I'm good. I'll leave that to you.
So the other one is Aaron said that they are absolutely going to do EXP events in the overworld. I would play the crap out of that. If you give me 3x EXP over a weekend on overworld, I'm going to go to my girlfriend and be like, babe, I need to be home for this weekend. I can't come to yours. I'm going to be on the computer the whole time. I am not missing this opportunity. I absolutely would. I've been wanting to play Overworld more lately as well. I just haven't really had the chance. I kind of go Gauntlet or Overworld. I'm like, I can do a quick Gauntlet game. Overworld might take me a bit too long. Can't be bothered. Yeah. But I actually really want to play both. But yeah, so I would absolutely love these. Do you think we should run them every single weekend or make them a bit more exclusive?
I would like to see them every weekend. This is just me personally. I would like to see them every weekend and once in a while. So, for example, double XP every weekend or something like that. And then on special occasions, you go 3x or 4x. On Christmas, Christmas, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an alliteration right now, but whatever. Whatever. On Christmas, on Halloween, on special things, maybe once a month, on the first weekend of the month, every month, you can go 3x or 4x, whatever it is. So every week is still, you're excited about it every week, but there is that one thing that triggers everyone to be like, oh, damn, this one we can't miss. Like, I can miss that weekend, but I can't miss this one. Like, I think I would like to see that.
Like, this sounds kind of crazy, but in Pokemon, I think Sword and Shield days with the expansions and things like that, they had this event over Christmas where you could find these crazy good Delibirds, and they were always like perfect stats. Delibirds is like the Christmas Pokemon. They always had like perfect stats and stuff like that. You go find them and beat them and stuff. But wouldn't it be cool if we had like a Christmas Alluvial? There's an Alluvial that only appeared during December. You can only capture it during that time, and maybe it dropped cool rewards when you captured it and stuff like that. And then everyone would go out and try and capture this one Alluvial because they had to get good stat ones before it disappeared for 11 months out of the year. I think that could be really interesting, maybe a little bit much, but I'd love those sorts of like seasonal Alluvials to kind of appear, 1 or 2 every 3 months that just appear out of nowhere. You can capture them only during these 2 months. and that would add some interesting scarcity, some reasons to come back, and things like that. I'd like to see more of those sorts of events. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not against it. I think it's a bit early now, but yeah, in the future, sure.
All right, so here's a great one. Aaron got a new puppy. I just wanted to show this.
Great. Fantastic.
Her name is Kiawe. She is a white honey. I didn't even know that was a breed. Okay, next one. So Nil says double Unity will be fixed on the next deployment to prod, and Livestorm, they haven't been able to do any changes to prod yet because patch B has been in the pipeline for 2 weeks. Hopefully it can be addressed very soon. I personally don't understand why you can't work on both patches at the same time, especially for minor things like this, but I guess it's the way their testing environments and stuff work. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is from Aaron, where he says, I think this is talking about Spectator Mode. He says that in the works, they're currently transitioning to a new system that will allow us much more flexibility and speed in building. We can blame Aaron, apparently, for having it the way it is now, as it was ultimately his call and he got it wrong. I don't think choosing the easy way out, I'm assuming this is regarding the server. I don't think choosing the quick and rough way to do a server is wrong or anything like that, but maybe it should have been moved over to a dedicated server sooner. I don't know. That being said, the only way forward is to implement this ASAP so they can then add these types of features, spectator mode and so on. Shoutcasting mode doesn't have as high priority as getting to the game. A higher priority is getting the game into a really good state, but it will come right after and is very important. I hope like a really rudimentary version of it comes sooner rather than later, and it gets polished later as for a spectator mode. But at the same time, I understand focusing on the game first is obviously the priority.
The thing is, I actually think that spectator mode does make the game. It does push it into a good state. I don't think it's one of those, let's get into a good state and then we add I think it is part of it based on, I mean, if we're talking about spectator, I can, again, I'm not a developer. I'm not entirely sure. It's just an assumption here. But the assumption is that a lot of the factors that go into making spectator mode are going to go into scouting as well. And so, yeah, I don't think it's either or. I think it's the same thing. It's going to be required to get us to that good state. But as I said, as he mentioned, it's dependent on dedicated multiplayer servers. So until that gets sorted, it's. I know that Andre's been working a lot on that on the side. Pretty sure a lot of it is, I won't say ready, but progressing very, very well. And it's waiting now on the. It's not that we're not doing anything for it. It's we're working on that simultaneously as we're working on the servers. And once the servers are ready, we're able to plug that in.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately in my head, all you're really doing is you're adding a 9th player. You need a way for them to get into the game, but then they can essentially do all the same scouting functions and stuff like that, and click all the different buttons and things as if they were one of the other players.
Mm-hmm.
In theory. Obviously, the server side is probably way more complicated than that, but I like to think that once we have servers and scouting and things set up, spectator mode won't be too far behind.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing that Aaron said is the Ranger is just one of 4 changes they have planned. It is the largest change. Okay, that's interesting. But the point is there is so much yet to come. Can you give us a mini hint of other changes? I know we have some sort of better augment system coming, and Kieran mentioned the carousel more than once, so I'm going to assume those are 3 changes. And then drone augments is the 4th one?
Drones, items, there's a couple of things. There's catch-up mechanics. There are a few things that are being worked on. So I'd actually say there's more than 4, but I'm not going to say that Aaron is wrong here. But yeah, I know that there's quite a few things that are being worked on, and I know a lot of them are quality of life things. I think they're going to be quick wins. Let's make the user experience. I feel like that's going to be the theme from my side for the foreseeable future. If I'm being dead set, I think having that focus on the small wins, quality of life, increase user experience as we're working on these features is going to be important. I don't think we stop quality of life and just focus on features. I think we try and knock out the small wins as quickly as possible while working on those new features, and then move on to them.
Yeah, and I think the biggest quality of life improvement will actually be...
It's 11 months, give or take.
Oh, okay, sorry. I think the biggest quality of life improvement will actually be the multiplayer server, because really the most annoying thing, besides like the crashes and stuff, which hopefully that will help fix. The main annoying thing is when you hit the refresh button and it takes 2 or 3 seconds to refresh. That sucks. That's really, really sucks. Once that's fixed, that is like a 2x improvement. Like, I'm not even like, at least it would
No,
be to
yeah,
me. I don't know if it would be to everyone, but like,
no, it's real.
seriously.
It's real. The desyncs, that's the type of stuff that we're talking about, right?
Yeah, like,
It's small, yeah, just the
like when
user
the round
experience.
ends, and it takes like 10 seconds to get to the next one, it's like you're worried that it's going to crash out or it's bugged or something
Yeah,
as well. And it's frustrating and uncomfortable. And it's those things that are so kind of minor. Once they're fixed, it will be a big deal. I can't wait. I am actually so excited for that, if nothing else.
which is why I say that which is exactly why I say small wins are going to carry us in a huge way moving forward. I think these are the small things and quality of life improvements that are going to change a lot. Like you say, 2x. I'd even go and say it's more than that. But yeah, 100%. I agree with you. I'm just going to respond to Abe McGee about, are we still dependent on the bull market? I wouldn't say so. I think we've got some things. I'm hoping Scoriox plans this stuff out. So I don't know what the topics are, I'll be honest. But I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about quite a few exciting things that are being worked on, where the main priority is going to be focusing on Gauntlet. With Gauntlet, like we mentioned before, the retention is much, much higher. I know for a fact that some of the TFT guys that I am talking to, even with Tempest Guild, those guys are now just playing the game without rewards because they're addicted. And they're constantly saying, hey, when can we play again? Can we play? Like, there's a lot more interest for Gauntlet in its current state. And it's not even its final form yet. But it's still, I would say, with the stuff that is coming, it's going to make that much better. I think Kieran has publicly mentioned, I believe Kieran mentioned this about tournaments in with TFT. Yeah, he
Yep.
said this in the town hall, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, looking to getting TFT guys, like large scale TFT, is similar to the off the grid campaign with a few different changes. Similar to that in the TFT auto battler realm next year. So as long as we do that, we bring in new players with Breach, bring in new players. We come in with a raise. Now that we've moved the rewards into the treasury, we're actually set up in a relatively, I won't say a strong position, but we're definitely not in a position that we need to worry about. I'm very positive about the future of it. I'm seeing what we're cooking up internally with Breach and whatnot. I've seen the list of the 67 items that we're talking about with Gauntlet. I've put my input. I've started to be a little bit more vocal there as well. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I think we're all trying to be vocal and really drive this in the right direction, even with Beyond. I've been speaking to Roger almost every day. Pretty sure I'm bugging him at this point. He's probably thinking it's quite annoying, but even with Beyond, there are a couple of changes that I think are going to enhance the player experience again. So, yeah, I think I understand where the fear is. I'd say the fear or the uncertainty is coming from, but I won't say it's unwarranted. But I would say have some faith. I know that we're trying to be a lot more public with Aaron doing AMAs, the town halls, now with the escape pod. I think quite a few of us on the team are trying to be more public to relay the confidence that we have in the products, in what we're working on. So it's not something that I would specifically be worried about.
Yeah.
I'll put it like this: it's not something that I work on the team, and obviously if something goes wrong, I'm out of a job. So it's not something that I'm worried about. So do with that information what you will, but that's where I stand.
Yeah, I will say a few things. Firstly, Illuvium is more fun than it has ever been before. Okay, it's fine. I would even say, and it's a little bit harsh, but I wouldn't even say it's finally in a playable state. Okay, Ascendant, I really liked Ascendant, but it wasn't that playable. Previous Gauntlet was kind of meh. Overworld's actually pretty good right now. Like, I went back to it recently and I actually had a lot of fun, but it's not perfect. I am mostly referring to Gauntlet here. And we know the team is dedicated to getting Gauntlet to the state over the next 3 or 4 months or so. They are looking to do a capital raise of some kind next year, which was obvious. Anyone could have seen that coming. Hopefully, like a bull run and stuff kicks off as well, which would be really exciting. But really, Abe was talking about the runway and stuff like that. No one's just going to let the project die or anything like that. Like, let's say we went through 11 months and we had no runway left. There are lots of different options to keep the project going and stuff like that. Obviously, none of them are fun or enjoyable to do, but there are definitely things that are going to happen long before that time comes that will make sure we have enough runway to see the vision through properly, which I think will take at least another 2 years. If we're talking about the overworld a little bit more exclusively, things like Breach and stuff like that. But Gauntlet we're going to see through long before the runway talk even comes up, and probably, hopefully, get a capital raise in soon after that, or a few months after that, or whatever it might take. But like a worst case scenario, there are Kieran and Aaron have pledged their own tokens if they're needed for the project, and there are other options and stuff as well. So Illuvium's not going anywhere. And I'm glad to say that Illuvium has finally fixed a lot of their past mistakes. Okay, like the team, especially around Arena, have never been more active in the Discord. They've never been taking on feedback like they have been. I mean, they've definitely been taking on feedback before, but it hasn't been as obvious as it is right now. Like Neil is in there talking about the different patches, getting all the feedback. You are taking so many notes on different feedback for different tournaments and things like that. They're putting out like survey forms for all the games and stuff like that. Like they're taking this shit really, really seriously now. It shows and it reflects in the gameplay as well. And I think that is the most exciting thing about Illuvium. And it's getting better. It's getting better, and I can't wait.
Agreed.
All right, so let's go to the next one. So, regarding, I don't even know what this is regarding. Oh my god. I don't even know what this is regarding. I think it's regarding Leviathan.
I'm assuming it's in the stat mechanic chat. So
yeah, so the only issue Kieran sees with the current Leviathan balance is that a small amount of people have played Leviathan so far. So once more people play, it will be harder for them to process a change. Like the existing people are struggling with it. Better to find the balance now before we bring thousands in. It definitely needs to be balanced appropriately. I think what people misinterpret is the initial numbers for the stats and stuff like that were essentially placeholder numbers. Like that's what you do when you're developing a game. I think they shouldn't have made the placeholder numbers so crazy. I don't know whose decision it was to do that, but wouldn't have been my call. But now it does need to be reduced. The numbers they've thrown out for what they want to reduce it to, I think is probably a little bit too harsh. I'd like to reduce it slowly and kind of get a feel for where the balance sits. But at the same time, it definitely has to be reduced from where it is right now. But really, it's not the stats themselves so much. It's actually the combination of the stats and the levels. And once leveling up becomes more attainable, because combat will enable that, and leveling up an arena and stuff like that will enable that as well. Once that becomes less of a burden, and then stats balance is improved a little bit regarding Gauntlet specifically, I think it's all going to be a lot better. Because how I view it is the Gauntlet stats, or at least the stats on Alluvials, as far as I can tell, they were designed for Ascendant mode. In Ascendant mode, you need, 8 Alluvials, 9 Alluvials that are really good. In Gauntlet, you need 100 plus, right? So it's a completely different environment. And so I think the stats are more balanced for Ascendant, and now they need to be rebalanced for Gauntlet and the plans of Illuvium moving forward. Oh, we got the same one twice. Okay. So apparently, the Ranger being added to Gauntlet, Nil says it is close. The Ranger will add a whole new dimension for the gameplay, and he is very excited for it. I think the weapons will go a long way on this, so I can't wait.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, we start testing with that internally as an entire team outside of the dev team relatively soon.
So we'll quickly go through the community discussions, then we'll get into some of the community content, then we'll be able to discuss more about the different things that have been happening at Illuvium. But firstly, we have the blueprint and skin production streaming. For anyone who didn't read this proposal, it was made by the team. It is really, really good. Basically, it says Dyes are no longer really going to be a part of the Illuvium Zero systems, and blueprints are going to be burnt on use, but your factory on your land will be able to produce blueprints infinitely still. It just means that you don't sell this blueprint, and now people who don't own any land at all have access to minting blueprints forever, which really, when you think about it, doesn't make that much sense in the end. And then costs and things will be adjusted. But basically, it's taking a lot of the stuff and putting it just in Illuvium Zero. So if someone just likes the Illuvium Zero game, they don't also have to play the crap out of Illuvium Overworld to get benefits from that, and it reduces the amount of things they're going to be on chain and stuff as well. So all in all, quite beneficial. And it was overwhelmingly positively received, which surprised me a little bit, to be honest, but people liked it. The other one we've got is shoutcasting mode, where Death Row Boat really wants it in there. We talked about a little bit about this already, but yeah, so some really good stuff. Okay, so the next one is the Illuvium Town Hall.
On multiple different products, and not just multiple different games, multiple different products.
We can
25 plus products. We think now the best strategy over the next 3 to 4 months is to get one of our games up to mainstream standard, right? And the fastest one that we can work on to get up to that state is Arena, where we can truly say this feels as good, it's as smooth, the server quality, there's no delays, there's all of the same features that you would get in Underlords and TFT. There's our own flavor of it. There's the better graphics system that's behind it.
Now we just need it to be really good. So what else happened in the town hall? Actually, wait, I think I have your tweet on it. Here we go. Okay. So here are the big things, and we'll talk through this briefly. Arena focus. Over the next 3 months, we're all in an arena. Great. Spectator mode and multiplayer. The tech is progressing. We're aiming for early 2024, setting the stage for big tournaments. That's
early 2024. Yeah, it should be 2025 or end of 2025. My bad.
Really hope it doesn't take that long for the multiplayer side of things. I know Spectator mode's probably early 2025. For big tournaments and community events, we definitely need to get rewards up before then.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm hoping it won't be November. I think hopefully we'll get rewards up for December. I want it to be a bit more ready. No bugs, no big crashes and things like that. So
agreed.
Fuel system overhaul. They're talking about simplifying in-game fuel to streamline the player experience. Things like merging the 3 fuels into one, which we should have done a while ago, but I'm really looking forward to that.
This is something that I've said for a long time. I think the whole idea of theoretically, cool, it makes a lot of sense. But again, I go back to it. Design-wise, it's cool. Like, I get it. Theoretically, it's cool. User experience, I won't say it's horrible, but it's less than ideal. So I think making it one... honestly, even with mobile games, I'm playing the Pokemon TCG game like the rest of the world right now. And honestly, it does piss me off a little bit with all the different currencies that they have. I'm like, man, what currency does what? I forget it. And I'm like, man, just make it like 2. Just like, don't overwhelm me. Just make it simple. I think they've done a lot of things right. But again, user experience, I'm like, bro, I don't know what. Just give me 2.
I know, currencies. Right? There's like 10 currencies.
Bro, I don't know what's. Like, I don't know what I'm aiming for. I was just like, man, it's crazy.
Some of them even look similar to each other.
Bro, it's ridiculous. So, yeah, 100%. I think that for us, what we can take from that is just make it one currency, one fuel, and go off that. I think that's the way to go. And it would... Yeah, well, we've done a lot of testing internally, and it's very obvious that's the direction that we need to go and are going in.
Yeah, I think. Do you guys have a cool name for it? You're not just going to call it fuel, are you?
I'm not the name guy, man.
But you guys are going to name it, yeah?
I'm assuming so.
Yeah.
We're not going to call it fuel. Like, that's if you think Aaron coming up with virtuous links and I don't know, whatever crazy exalted. If you think that we're coming up with these words and then we're just going to say fuel, you're out of your mind.
Yeah. So the other thing is the sentiment shift, and Kieran emphasizing turning the community's feedback into action, delivering the best, most polished version of Illuvium. Yet, I think the polish is really key here. Don't overthink it.
Keep it simple, fuel. Let's listen to Mr. Scorsese over here. If that's what he says, that's what we do.
Dimitri. So, what else did we learn from that town hall?
There was quite a few things. I don't remember off the top. I obviously highlighted the main points. He talked about Breach, and I know Aaron had alluded to Breach in his AMA with Paz, which was an amazing AMA. But Aaron had kept it a little bit more high level, and I'd seen some people speculate about what it was, and Kieran had just come out straight up and said it's a roguelite. So that's out of the bag now. I'm very, very excited about it. I know before we actually started working on it internally, I actually was working on a game design. I mean, pretty much exactly the same, just in a different kind of view. But you've seen what I was working on before I shared it to the team. So seeing it kind of some of that implemented in the direction we're taking, I'm very, very, very excited. So that's probably the biggest takeaway. He talked about the tournaments and stuff, but yeah, I think the biggest thing that we're looking forward to right now is making Gauntlet polished and Breach, and I cannot wait for everyone to start to see what that is or learn more about it. I think there is a huge potential. I'll say this, sorry, and I'll throw it your way. I was talking to someone, I forget who it was, about it, and don't take this the wrong way, anyone. But right now, what we have is Gauntlet, and it's very much a nerds game where it's very strategic. You need to think about it, and it's not just a casual. Like my wife can't come in and play Gauntlet; she's gonna have no clue what's going on. But what we need is a multiplayer game that's a casual game, and so someone like my wife can come into Breach and just learn a couple of the buttons, and she kind of knows. Is she going to be good? Probably not. But is she going to be able to play it at least? Absolutely. Is she going to know what's happening? Absolutely. And I think that's what we're missing. And I know a lot of people are talking about, hey, maybe a MOBA or something like that. And it's like the issue that I see from a marketing point of view, it's another nerds game. Like my wife isn't going to come in to play a MOBA. Yes, the TAM is huge, but my wife isn't going to see this. And I'm not saying she's the target audience, but I'm just saying as a high level discussion, she's not going to come into a MOBA and figure out how, like, there's just no way. And I think we've got that one nerdy game already. And I'm speaking hyperbolic here, but we're in hyperbole, sorry. So we've got one nerdy game with Gauntlet, and I think we need one casual game. And I think Breach is really, really going to do that. Again, I don't know what you want to share. Like you have seen my game design, and a lot of it. I wouldn't say a lot of it, but some of it has come through in what we're going with here. I'm very, very excited for that type of experience for players. So yeah, I don't know how much you know about it from Council, but feel free to jump on.
Kieran gave us a little brief rundown of kind of some of the ideas they have, but nothing was set in stone, and I've forgotten most of it anyways. But the big thing for me,
bro.
is...
Well, sorry. I need to say this. Dimitri, I swear to God, I think I've watched like more than 10 times. It's so sick, man. It's so sick.
All right, then yeah. Dimitri can take all my feedback on the chin. My feedback without having even seen Breach. So the big thing for me is it's going to be really hard to nail NFT utility. That's going to be a really big selling point for Breach, and we need to get it right. Like, I know maybe you can bring 6 alluvials in with you and you can send out one at a time or whatever, and you can use them in battle, and maybe they get some EXP, but that can't really be it. You need, if you have a Ramfire with max stats, that needs to help you get higher on a leaderboard to maybe earn some rewards or cool prizes. I don't know. Maybe you go the survival mode route where it's just like crazy single player leaderboard type stuff, and that's kind of how you focus it down. But owning alluvials needs to feel really impactful in Breach, and it needs to have some sort of meaning or give you some sort of benefit that makes people want to capture alluvials. That's really important to me. The other thing is I hope it's not too easy, but the good thing with a roguelike is eventually at wave 40 or whatever, you're going to get wrecked, right? And so hopefully there's that element, but I hope it's not really basic difficulty. For example, if you fight a Ramfire on wave 1 and then you fight a Ramfire on wave 40, but it has 10,000 times more health, that's not necessarily fun. You're just hitting it more times, but it's just as easy to dodge all of its attacks. Now, quantity of alluvials is really good, so you fight 2 or 3 alluvials wave 1, you fight like 500 alluvials wave 40 or whatever. That'd be quite fascinating. But then I have concerns with like how difficult the optimization and stuff is, and I know they're working on that. But the big thing is, I actually went over to my partner's sister's place the other day, and her husband bought Call of Duty, and I loved Call of Duty Zombies from Black Ops 1 days, Black Ops 2 and stuff like that. And I played it over on are they up to Black Ops 6?
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I don't know. Yeah.
Anyways, whatever Black Ops are up to, that's the one I played. And Zombies just brought me back. If we can capture the Zombies vibe in Illuvium Breach mode or whatever it might be, that is, I think, gonna be what really sells it for me. But it really has to capture that for it to be good. For me personally, I'm a little bit harder to please. I'm a big Dark Souls guy, so
yeah.
That,
so it's definitely not Dark Souls. So I'm going to address a couple of things that you talked about.
Yeah.
I'm going to address some of the comments as well. Is Breach is Breach just the Illuvials fighting an overworld? No. It's a Smash Bros. No. It's a roguelike. If you don't know what that is, type it. Go look up Hades. Is probably a good example. Probably one of the most popular roguelikes.
Basically, you're running around in the overworld and hordes of alluvials come at you in some way.
Yeah. Like go look at what a roguelike is, and you'll figure that one out. Breach is a game mode inside of Overworld. Okay, cool. Now let me address the things that you're talking about. NFT usage. There are a lot of ways that we can do this. Aaron came up with a couple of good ideas. I put in my input. I think the option that we have is going to be very, very cool. And I think it will benefit the players that have alluvials. You should be able to play it for free. And that's super, super important. But I think you having an alluvial is going to give you a benefit and is going to unlock things that someone that doesn't have it might have to work 10 times or 100 times as harder to unlock. So that's super, super important. And I think that concern is very easily addressed. The second thing that you brought up is difficulty. So this won't be Dark Souls. Absolutely not. So an idea that I had was in terms of that, and I agree with you. It's not just, hey, you have one Ramfire in stage 1 or area 1. I'll say wave 1. In wave 1, and then in wave 40 you have the same Ramfire, but it just has more health. I don't think that makes sense. But what you can do is you can, like you say, the number of alluvials. So rather imagine in the first boss level, there's a boss and a Ramfire. And then in the second boss level, there's a boss and 3 Ramfires. I think that's how you can start to do things. Also, you can always implement this. Is something that I came up with a couple days ago, and I'm going to put it to the team as we progress there. But a hardcore mode to make it replayable. At some point, you're going to we have a lot of alluvials. You can play it so many times with all the alluvials. Test out a bunch of things, especially with multiplayer. Test out different synergies with your friends. But at some point, it might just become a cakewalk. And that's where I think Diablo does it really well with hardcore mode 1, hardcore mode 2, hardcore mode 3, which give bonus experience and stuff like that. And so there is still replayability there with your friends to do. I think there's a lot of levers regarding the difficulty that we can pull on, which I don't think it's a huge issue. You're right. It needs to be addressed and we need to be cautious of it. I don't think it's something that we need to stop in our tracks and say, oh my God, this is the game-breaking thing that we need to solve. I think there are a lot of solutions that we can explore there.
I think the last thing that I would really like to see from Breach and any future game modes of any kind is the thing that annoyed me the most about Pal World is you can send out one Pal or whatever, but the battle was really just the Pal versus the opponent, and it was basically an auto battle in Pal World's overworld. I thought that was boring as hell. Like, I want there to feel like you need to feel like you solved a puzzle of some kind. Like, if you send out an Axodon against a Ramfire, it's the perfect counter, for example. But maybe it's not the perfect counter against a Ramfire and 3 Archies or whatever it might be. I don't know. Like, you need to strategize which alluvials you send out. you need to send out more than one alluvial. Maybe you can't control them. You just send them out and they do whatever they do. I don't know. But like what I'm saying is the best part about this game mode will be synergies between alluvials. I think the multiplayer facet of that helps a lot.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of everyone having at least 2 out at any given time. And now you have 8 alluvials running around because there's 4 players or whatever it might be. I think that could be really cool, but that's just...
This is I disagree with that. I understand what you're trying to say. I disagree. I think this is how I would like to see it. I would like to see it as you being the ranger, each person having 1 alluvial. Yes, you're controlling the ranger and doing your thing. The alluvial does its auto attacks, but you actually have the ability to activate its omega. So I was imagine this. Let's say myself, you, Mark Scorsese in the chat, Dimitri, and Kieran were all playing together. And let's just say for fun, we're playing against a boss in the boss level, and all of us have a Rampfire or something like that. And we all charge our Rampfire's ult at the same time. And there's a bunch of minions, and maybe we get bonus damage if we get a multi-hit or something like that, right? Let's say that's a mechanic in the game. And all of us work together and we're like, yo, hold. We're almost dying. We're like, hold. We all get the ulti. We bring them all together and we say, hey, boom, let's do it now. And all of us got I think that's the thing that we do where we still have agency over the alluvial without having control over the. So there are things that we can do here. I think having a variety of alluvials that you can choose from makes sense. Having them all out at the same time, I disagree with. As I think you playing with the 3 other players, you guys should synergize with each other with the 4 alluvials. But between different regions, between different enemies, being able to switch. And I don't think this is just me, and this is going more into the game design. I don't think we should be able to change inside a wave. I think you need to make that just the same way any roguelike does. If anyone that's played that before, you can't change your weapon inside the wave that you're in. You need to clear that wave up to a certain point, whether it's a shop or something, and then you can change it. Or maybe after the boss level, you can okay, cool. Let me rearrange my thing going to the next section of it. I think this is how I would like to see it.
Yeah, and I think I actually really like that idea where the one thing that they didn't add into Pal World, and I think people have always wanted to see it from Pokemon in general, is live action commands to your, let's say, Pokemon in the battlefield. I think that could be really, really cool. Like in the anime, the funniest running joke is in the game, you have a 10% chance to dodge an attack or whatever. In the anime, Ash tells Pikachu to dodge an attack every 2 seconds. But at the same time, that's really interesting because you can be like, Ramfire attack or focus on attacking, and you can be Ramfire, use your Omega, or like in the case of Pokemon, you have 4 moves. Maybe we can add some of those sorts of elements far into the future. But then you also have Ramfire dodge, and maybe that dodge you can't use it too often, but you need to dodge a really big attack, or Ramfire come to me, which means that it'll run out of the way of things that are going to like destroy it, like a big AoE attack happening of some kind, or meteors falling from the sky. I don't know, but I like the idea of you having a big hand in controlling it, which would add some serious difficulty to it. And then you can put some of the power thresholding onto the alluvial themselves, because your ranger, although strong enough in its own right, it's a combination of your ranger and the alluvials that's going to do the most damage in some way. And so commanding both of them at once and managing that is going to be more impactful. I'm a big RTS guy, so that's probably where some of that's coming in. But I think that would make it a lot more interesting and make it stand out from the crowd as well, which I think is still important. So I would like to see that sort of stuff happen.
There's a lot. There's a lot that we can see. I'm very, very excited. I love what Dimitri said. I wasn't going to bring it up, but we are looking at like someone has kind of built out a base form of it. I wasn't going to bring it up. Dimitri did. So yeah, we're very excited that the team is very, very excited about what's been cooking, and the fact that it's been cooking so quickly because we have the assets now. Everything is kind of built out. Things are about to get very, very fun.
Yeah,
man, you know the game design doc that I sent you. You know how passionate I am about this style of game and how fun. Again,
and like
I've played Left 4 Dead, and you're yelling at each other. People have played Overcooked, like, yo, give me the tomato. Like, that feeling of playing with your friends and yelling at each other, yo, cover my back, cover, like, that's streamable content. It's fun. It's imagine myself and Kieran. I'm probably gonna lose my job by the shit that I say to him, right? Like, we're just gonna be cussing each other. Like, that's the feeling that we want here, and it's just gonna be utter chaos and utter fun.
I think that's the exciting thing is we're not going to lie to you. In the past 3 or 4 months, let's say, my faith in Illuvium has wavered a little bit, and it's been a little bit rough. And some of the decisions that have been made and some of the things that have happened, it's been a little bit tough to see some of this stuff. But I have this whole renewed vision now. Like, the team has put in so much in the past month at least. There's so much more coming, and I've seen, obviously, Big on Council helps because I can see some of the behind the scenes as well. I kind of feel bad for the community in that sense, but there's a lot to really look forward to, and I'm excited for this next 6 months of Illuvium's journey, where we're going to see if a lot of this works. But I'm also excited that people are loving Gauntlet now. I'm seeing so much chatter in the Discord that is all positive, which has been unheard of in the Illuvium Discord for the past year. Let's be real. And it's been good. It's been good. I can't wait.
Absolutely.
So, let's get on to the last few things. The first one is the Illuvium Inferno went live last weekend. It was a great 5-hour stream. The first 30 minutes or so was a mess. I had a lot of technical difficulties. Should be fixed for all future tournaments. Do not worry. But this is the final match where Whitey actually ended up taking the win. Or maybe he didn't. I don't know. But you'll have to see who came in the top 8. Very, very exciting matches here. I do recommend going to watch this, especially if you want to learn more about the game and improve at the game. These are all pro players. These are top 32 basically in Illuvium Gauntlet, dishing it out in the game. Next one.
Sorry, I will just say this very quickly. We'll run through the final things relatively quickly. But regarding tournaments, we're essentially going to be having tournaments weekly, whether it's Wildfire and Hype, whether it's Phantom, whether it's Hype by themselves. I know Atlas Guilders has made it. So what I'm trying to do is converse with each of the guilds and try and organize it so it takes a little bit of the stress off of any one of them and have it rotate. So 1 week is going to be Wildfire and Hype. Next week it's going to be Phantom. Next week it's just going to be Hype. The following week it's going to be Phantom and Atlas or something like that, and just kind of build some camaraderie between the guilds. I know there's been some fighting or animosity between guilds, and I'm trying to curb as much of that as possible. So we are going to see small scale community tournaments. Obviously, we can't do anything large scale without Spectator Mode, but I think that there is a demand for tournaments. I did a report back based on the feedback on your tournament. Got a lot of great feedback, and I think it's super valuable for us as the team as well. So yeah, just stay tuned. I know Paz had Phantom has a tournament tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. So every week, just keep your eye out. Like I said, some of it might be small scale invitationals for now, but I know that later on this month they're starting to open it up to the community as well. So a lot of fun to be had.
Well, like Illuvidata's tournaments platform is getting pretty close. I've seen some of their internal pitch decks and things like that. It looks very, very exciting. And just like imagine when their tournament platform is full automated as well. Like they can put up like 3 events a week or whatever that are fully automated, no host, no nothing, but it's like it's entry fees and stuff. Like you pay $10 to get to the tournament. Maybe there's 64 players, and if you win, you take home $200 or whatever, right? Like that's really exciting. And that sort of stuff is what keeps people coming back for more. Some people might be super into the leaderboard rewards, but others will be super into playing a bunch of tournaments every week to try and win some prize money and stuff like that with entry fees and all that sort of stuff. So it's all really, really cool. And I can't wait for this entire scene to better kick off. But the Gauntlet game needs to be in the best state first, especially to avoid bugs and disconnects and things, because that stuff just feels bad. Like imagine paying $10 for an entry fee and you have a DC bow and you're like out. And it just feels bad. You can't get rid of it entirely, obviously, but it's those sorts of things. So next up we've got the Hollow Wave Battle Board. I've been using this one now. It is absolutely awesome. I also can't wait for the Doka Dojo.
It's so loud.
Sorry.
Yeah, I've seen the...
so good.
This actually isn't the Wave 3 board. This is the Wave 2 board, if I'm not mistaken. The Wave 3 board is sick. You might have seen it, right? I know I've sorted you guys out with a media kit for Wave 3.
I didn't even know that there were 2 separate boards. I never really thought about it, but now I'm going to go double check.
Yeah, check it out. It's sick. It's sick. Man, check out that media kit. There's so much in there.
Okay, so the last thing we've got here, second last thing we've got here is the AMA with Aaron. And again, TSG's done a really awesome breakdown. I need to start doing these myself as well. You're getting killer engagement on these too. Anyways, basically, Aaron had an interview with Illumination, Paz Illumination, the other day. Very, very exciting.
So let me know in chat, guys, if you guys want to see more of Aaron. I'm speaking to him and trying to get him to do maybe 1 or 2 AMAs a month. Maybe I'm trying to keep it. I think Aaron's greatest strength is actually being able to communicate direct to the community. So I'd love to have him with yourself and Paz being the 2 most consistent content creators in the community. I'd love to have him on your channel once a month and Paz's channel once a month, and so we can see Aaron twice a month. And I think we can get consistent updates, or maybe once. We'll find out. But if you guys want to see more of Aaron, let me know in chat.
I think I'm going to organize an AMA with him in a few weeks.
Yeah. Cool.
He said we can talk about that mistake thing he made that we referenced before.
We can talk about that. We can talk about that offline.
Yeah. So, tighter focus, big impact. So they're shifting gears to deepen game quality, prioritizing Gauntlet, and enhancing onboarding. Very cool. Project Breach, we just talked about that at length. Questing system, deep lore integration is a priority with quests that add rich backstory and let players experience the Illuvium universe. That was a big thing we didn't touch on, is Kieran's talked about the questing or the lore, let's say lore introduction systems being integrated into multiplayer and things like Breach. I have no idea how that will happen or be set up, but that's actually really exciting. I'm not a big lore or questing guy by any stretch, but I think that's a really good idea on a way to involve that side of Illuvium. So that's actually really cool. Gauntlet will be transformed, obviously. Streamlined onboarding. This is all being worked on at the moment. Very, very good stuff for Illuvium. Community-driven feedback. Persistent regions. Other regions are evolving. This is something we should talk about briefly. They talk about how you'll be able to jump in Sanctum Mesa, and you won't be able to see absolutely everyone, but you'll probably see 20 or 30 rangers, maybe. Actually, I don't want to guess, but let's say 20 plus rangers just kind of walking around Sanctum Mesa. And the same thing when you go into the regions, which would be really cool. Imagine you're walking past a Ramfire and someone else is kind of walking past. You can see other rangers just inhabiting this world. It won't really add a whole lot to gameplay or anything, but it will be really cool. And I can't wait. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Like I said, I'm more excited for Breach and Gauntlet being polished than I think, again, user experience. I get it, it's cool. Does it add a lot to user experience? Fundamentally, I understand it from the lore point of view, but I don't think it's going to have a huge impact until we know the lore, until the lore is communicated to us.
The other feature that's been discussed is things like you can go up to, maybe there's a holographic table or something in the middle of Sanctum Mesa, and you can join a Gauntlet lobby from there or something like that. And the other big one is if you can, I know people have mentioned it already before, but God, I would love if you could queue up for a Gauntlet lobby and then go into the overworld.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, you know how many people would be playing Gauntlet if that was a feature? We wouldn't even need that feature anymore because the queues would be full the whole time. How funny is that? How ironic is that? Oh, that's so good. All right. The last one we have here is this leak. Let's see what happens if I full screen it. Sweet. Okay. It's going to be loud. We've got some audio from Rich in the background because I clipped this straight from the pod. And everyone's been taking my clip and putting it around. And I know it's mine just because I edited it myself.
We'll play this one more time for the folks that missed it. Very cool.
Very cool.
Why is the leaks? But that's such a behavior a cat would do.
We'll play this one more time for the folks that missed it.
It's so real.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. It's something that actually, when I first started over 2 years ago, something that I brought up with Kieran that we need to do this. We need to get people invested in the Illuvials, personally invested by their characters and stuff. I think but I don't. I'm pretty sure he's still huge, but I know a couple years back. Maybe 10 years back. Gary V was like on a rampage on social media, and he started this thing called V Friends, pretty much his NFT collection, and he did a similar thing where he had like 150 different characters, like I don't know, I don't know, like I don't know what the empathy elephant and shit like that. Those were his characters, and he would have like videos like this where it'd be a minute long rather than a couple of seconds. But you would get to know these characters based on the way they interacted with each other and things like that. And it got people really, really invested in his characters. And it's something that I brought to Kieran ages ago. So it's awesome to see this happening now. And maybe it was too soon back then. It's definitely not too soon now. There are so many things we can do with this, even making the tier zeros more appealing by showcasing their personalities. This is a no-brainer.
So I'm going to be nitpicky here, and I'm going to get so much hate for this. But you know what annoys me about this video?
No.
From Lynx's point of view, this actually doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, because it can see what it is.
It can see the squiz behind the rock, and that annoys the crap out of me. Squiz should be on this side of the rock. Yeah, the idea is clearly that he doesn't know what that tentacle is from, but clearly he does. He can see the full body of the squiz right there.
Yeah, it's...
Sure, it doesn't know it's electrified, but you might as well get rid of the rock entirely. He's just going up to the squiz and going, I'm going to hit you, rather than like, what's this thing on the ground?
I think it's meant to be for us to not know what it is.
I know, and it's silly.
Yeah, it's
Or you could like make it obvious there's a rock on the other side, so we still can't really see the squiz. You could just add a rock behind it here.
I don't really care. It's not something that I'm like, oh shit.
After I watched it like twice, that's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense.
yeah, it's fine. All right, awesome, man. This was fun. Breach.
It was good. Great to have you back, man. Don't forget, this is the new time for the download from now on, and with that, the download is complete.